He acted cruel. Uh, he saw all of his uncles there. He got the horseback. Mm. He saw all of his uncles there who had been burnt by their own ashes, all the skulls and everything like that. And he wanted to do something about them also. He brought the horse back to his father. And so he was advised by Garuda, the bird carrier, the supreme personality of God. It's quite a complicated story. Advised by Garuda to bring the Ganges to bathe the bones and the ashes of his uncles who had died. So he started performing austerities to bring the Ganges down. Nothing happened. Then he had a son. His son's name was Dilipa. And Dilipa followed in his father's footsteps, and he was performing austerities. Ganges didn't come down. And then he had a son, Bhagirath, which is actually the name of the Ganges, the Bhagirath, part of the Ganges. And he went for 1,000 celestial years of austerities. And finally, Ganga Devi, the personification of the Ganges, appeared before him. And also Lord Brahma appeared before him at the same time. And Ganges said, I don't really want to come down there to the Earth planet. For two reasons. My force will split the Earth planet. And the second reason is all these rascals, especially in Kali Yuga, will bathe in me. You bathe in the Ganges, you dump off all your sinful reactions and karma. It's like you touch a great saint's feet, you're dumping your karma on them. And the great saint can get sick. That's why. Because I'm not a great saint. When someone touches my feet, I touch them on the head, and it just sort of like goes back to them. Another strategy I have for giving people bad karma, my karma, is that I'm very happy when someone insults me. Because in the Mahabharata it says if someone insults you and you don't react, don't get angry, and you're compassionate to them, you get all their good karma and they get all your bad karma. Pretty good, isn't it? So I just encourage people to insult me. No, I don't do that. So that's how one should actually deal with insults on the internet, which is quite common right now, just for everybody. Rather than defending yourself, you just like soak it up. And you just pray for the person. Of course, you have to have some Krishna conscious perspective. So you pray for the person. And then, wow, you get empowered at that point. So the Ganges had these objections. And Bhagirath said, Lord Shiva, we will arrange by prayer to Lord Shiva, to have Lord Shiva break the fall of the Ganges. And as far as your objection about the sinful reactions of the people who bathe in you, the pure souls, they'll also bathe in you. Like devotees like Srila Prabhupada and other pure souls. And they'll purify, as I mentioned before at the beginning of class, the devotees, the pure devotees, they purify even a holy place. And they make a place that's not a holy place, Just like wherever Srila Prabhupada stayed, that becomes a memorial that you visit. And you can actually still feel Srila Prabhupada's presence. So then he began to perform austerities, and eventually Lord Shiva appeared, and Lord Shiva accepted the Ganges on his head. And there's a description in the Mahabharata and other Vedic literatures that the Ganges was actually quite proud that, she's so powerful that she needed Lord Shiva to stop her. And so Lord Shiva just like arrested her progress by keeping her on his head. And finally, after Bhagirath prayed, then Lord Shiva let the Ganges go, and the seven streams came, and Bhagirath drove his chariot before these streams. And then as the Ganges was coming down, and actually he wanted the Ganges to come down to the hermitage of Kapila Dev, Lord Kapila Dev. There was another great sage who actually became very, very angry because the Ganges was threatening to inundate his ashram. He got angry at the Ganges and described he drank up the Ganges. Now, how he did that, I don't know. I mean, these all these incredible stories, but the material world is quite incredible. I mean, if you're a scientist even and you're doing some scientific examination of this material world, or a biochemist or cellular biologist, you see how wonderful and amazing this material world is. So amazing things happen like this. So he stopped the progress of the Ganges, and then Bhagirath and the demigods prayed, and he let the Ganges go, and therefore the Ganges is also called the Janavi. That means the daughter of King, or not King, Sage Janu. So then, eventually, the Ganges came down to where the ashram of Lord Kapiladev was, and the sons of Sagara, that is the 60,000 boys who were evil, had their bones and ashes bathed, and they went to the heavenly planets. So, and the Ganges is so pure, and sometimes people question, how can the Ganges be pure? It goes through all these different cities, and there's all this different garbage dumped in the Ganges by the municipalities. But even when the scientists examine the Ganges, they say the Ganges is actually not only pure, but it's purifying. In other words, it gets rid of bacteria. So, anyway, that's the story about the Ganges. The source on the earth is the Gomukh, which means the mouth of the cow. And it's in a place called the Bhagirath Glacier, which is 14,000 feet above sea level. So, that's the story told today in Srimad Bhagavatam about the Ganges, and that's how the sons of Sagara got liberated or sent to the heavenly planets by having their bones bathed in the Ganges. So any questions or comments? Questions? Comments? Yes.
On this a little bit. I mean, one of the reasons that people, modern people reject religion is these kind of stories.
Fantastic stories.
I mean, and this was one fantastic thing on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. Like every single part that you told.
Every single
point
is unbelievable.
Was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, you dealt with it a little bit just by saying that the world is unbelievable. But
I mean, there's a lot of unbelievable things in this world. I mean, even Einstein talked about, not the Vedic literature so much, although he did appreciate the Bhagavad Gita, spooky action at a distance, where the spin of a particular electron around the atom can influence the spin of another electron around an atom thousands or billions of miles away. He talked spooky, he called it. So, and if you go into a cell, you see like little creatures that are walking. My favorite creature, the Kinason, we talk about. And there's a lot of things happening that are just simply unbelievable the more you look at this material energy. What is gravity? Do we understand what gravity is? Of course, gravity is sensation, like that sensation. But really, the scientists, do they really understand what gravity is? No. They don't even know what they give names to the main forces in the universe, like the weak and the strong, gravity and electromagnetism. But do they actually know what it is? The weak and the strong, the bonding forces in the atom, or the repulsive forces in the atom. And gravity, I think and electromagnetism means like radio waves. So there's a lot of things that happen. I mean, for example, if you were to bring a very primitive person, someone who had no contact with modern technology, to America, and they were to see, mobile phones, it would just be, how is that possible? And so, when we hear about Janu or Augusta Mooney, drinking a lot, it's not exactly like we picture drinking. It's some process that they utilize, some mystic process. It's not that you could drink a river or even a gallon or two and remain alive, right? I mean, you can die from overhydration. Because one time I investigated how much water should I drink a day, because I have to drink more because of my kidneys to flush out the kidneys. And they said, be careful. If you drink too much, you can die, because you'll dilute the blood, and then there won't be enough sodium, and there won't be enough potassium, and then you'll die from drinking too much. And many athletes, did you know that? And many athletes, when they're running races, they actually keep hydrating themselves, and they die from hydration. So imagine drinking a whole river. So how does that happen? But there's some sort of mystic process, and I am not expert in these mystic processes. There's some sort of mystic process by which they do it. It's not the ordinary process that we utilize when we're drinking. It's not real drinking. It's not that, it's going into his mouth, going into his intestines, his stomach first, and intestines. It's just not happy. The word drinking is there, or sometimes we have the churning. You talk about Sagara's 60,000 sons, how that lump of flesh was divided into 60,000 parts. It's some sort of cloning. We talk about cloning. The scientists now are talking about finding the genetic material of the woolly mammoth. You've heard of that before? Woolly mammoth. Because they have these woolly mammoths that have been frozen whole in the Arctic. And they still have preserved all the genetic material. So they're going to take the genetic material and put it inside an elephant's egg. Did you know that? Really interesting. I'm just waiting for it to happen. Like Jurassic Park. I don't know if you've ever heard of Jurassic Park. None of you have heard of that. It's a movie. It's a series of movies. Jurassic Park. What? I would be interested to get dinosaurs again. Anyway, so they're talking about it seriously, and I think it'll probably get done by the scientists. Create more problems for the world. And so they take the genetic material. So the same thing, putting inside an elephant's egg, and then an elephant's going to give birth to a woolly mammoth. So that's pretty amazing, isn't it? If you would explain that to people 200 or 300 years ago, they'd be amazed. Or let's take the hanger cults in the South Pacific. The hanger cults. Those are in the South Pacific. During World War II, the Americans and the British and other people who were fighting the Japanese used to take over certain islands where there were a lot of primitive people. And they would make airplane hangars and airplanes, and they would come down, and they would give chocolate to everybody. Of course, that was nice. And they saw, these gods are coming from the sky. And then they began, after the Americans and British and others left, what they did was constructed like wood airplanes and started to worship the wood airplanes, thinking that this would invoke the presence of the gods, that the Americans, to come again and bring them chocolate instead of just going on Amazon and ordering some designer chocolate. So anyway, there's things that happen when there's more sophisticated. Sometimes it's described in very simple language, but there's much more sophistication going on with all these different things. Is that it? Like drinking the ocean. It's not really drinking. It's something else happening. It's not really churning someone. the thighs. Something else is happening that's a higher technology, but because of our inability to understand that higher technology, it's described in very simplistic terms. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. We are primitive, and we can't understand these things.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalayataksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Tandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Anganiyasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham
Namaho Vishnu Pajaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Himate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Puramani Pacharane Nivesesha Shunyavade Pasachade Sacharane Sesha Sunyavate Vasyachade Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sadi Gaurata Vrindana Sri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sadi Gaurata Vrindana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Guru Ramanityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sadi Gaura Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaura Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Mari Ram, Ram Ramari Uri. I get stuck, Uri, Uri, Ram Mari Ram, Ram Ramari Uri. Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hori, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hori, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Rate, Jaya Rate, Rate,